Preparing live stream. Taking a second. But you know the topic, right, Grandpa? Like I told you about it.
Oh, yeah, I told you I'm a good listener. I can't.
Oh, okay.
But go ahead.
All right. So we're about to be live in like 5 seconds. And all right, we live now, y'all. So you're officially you're I don't know if you've ever been on TV before. This isn't TV, but if you ever been on something like this before, Sam, now you in it. So everybody, welcome back to the show. We got special guests today. Live stream. Oh shoot. My background's caught me. No, I don't want to don't play my sound. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we do a beer ranking, then we get into a topic. But we got special guests. We got a teacher in the house, official teacher, not like one of these YouTube teachers who halfway knowing stuff. This is legit. She got multiple degrees in education. Samantha.
Hi everyone.
Of course, Grandpa, the star of the show.
Honestly.
Well, I am, hey. I got promoted, huh?
Oh my goodness.
I didn't make it to star. Not a participant, but a star.
Oh yeah, you're definitely the star, Grandpa. Well, I'm just the cameraman that you told me to get on camera. But since it's as is commonplace, show us what you're drinking today. Start off, Grandpa.
Well, you see, I'm drinking something from my southern neighbor. My friendly southern neighbor. That's Mexico. Highly cherish my southern neighbor. I ain't like I ain't like my president. I appreciate my southern neighbor. So my southern neighbor says, Modelo. Huh?
There you go.
Okay, see, I'm ready.
A good one.
All right, what you got, Sam?
Well, I'm at my sister's house and they got a bunch of kids and they don't drink very often. So it's bottom of the barrel, which is apparently Seagram Escapes. It's a black cherry fizz.
There you go.
Not like that.
It's what now? Repeat that, please. I'm hard of hearing, so
no, that's okay. It's Seagram's black cherry fizz. It's like a premixed cocktail. It's kind of like
okay.
Alcoholic.
Okay. I got Motor City Mead. I was like, I'm gonna get some mead today. I'm gonna step out. Check that out. This is made in Detroit. Made in the Detroit vineyard. So it's
but let me tell you this. You know what's on TV now?
What?
Strolls, man. They brought Strolls back big time.
It was all thanks to you.
It says they're advertising Strolls, so they're back to stay.
It was all thanks to you, Grandpa. All that hard.
I kept them up alive for years. I fell back and they had to close up. But they back and I'm back.
I love it.
So knock it out. What's your pre-ranking, Grandpa? We already did Modelo though, so I mean, updated ranking.
I'll rank it again. First, I'm gonna have to pour it a little bit. I'm gonna see if they got that hit that it had last week or week before last. Huh?
Okay. We didn't have Modelo. I think we didn't have Modelo before. It was a while ago.
Last week, I think.
No, you didn't have Modelo last week. You had Reds.
Oh yeah, you know what? I bought 4 or 5 of those different kind of things. I thought I was buying beer,
Yeah.
And goes into the beer place down there, says strawberry and grape and all that, and I throw a little.
That's some hard ciders.
Yeah, right. But I was thinking I was buying beer, but I learned real quick there. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So what did you say it was? What was the ranking you gave it?
Who are you talking
to you, Grandpa? You got the beer first.
Oh, okay. You skip it again. It's probably the same ranking. I always start with about at least 5.5. So I can move up.
All right, knock it down.
Yeah. It's still the 5.5. No less than that. We can move on up to 6, 7, but we're gonna start with a 5.5.
All right, go Sam. You the guest.
Well, this Seagram's, if we started at 5.5, I think It's only 3.2%. Not a big wine cooler type gal, so I'm gonna have to take it down to probably about a 3.
About a 3.
Oh, Uncle Pooh are gonna love you. You got high standards, Samantha.
I do. Hi.
Hey, Uncle Pooh. Hey, Uncle Pooh. Sam done gave a beer a 3.
It wasn't exactly a beer, though, was it?
It's not. It's a wine cooler, which is why it gets a really low rating.
Okay. I thought we had a savage in the building.
I got some little drink opinions. Before I taught, I bartended for about 3 years. So
there we go.
Yeah, she's we're talking about we're doing the beer stuff obviously, but our topic is about like kids going back to schools, and Sam is a teacher. She actually teaches out in Chicago.
Oh, you got a range of skills here. We got bar skills, we got classroom skills. Whoa.
I mean, dealing with drunk older people is the same thing as dealing with angry 7-year-olds. So
Good point.
What you got, Uncle Pooh?
I'm sitting at 8 yet.
I was gonna say whatever you eat, it must be pretty good there.
Well, I'll do mine. I'll do mine since Uncle Pooh Bear's still stuff together.
Man, as hungry as I am, it could be anything at this point.
Okay.
So I got some Motor City mead, so I was like,
Okay.
mead going today. It's a nice summer day.
Have you had any of that before?
Yeah, I haven't had this one, but I've had mead before.
Have I had any?
I don't know. You would know if you had some. It's definitely like
particular.
Some people call it wine, honey wine. Some people call it honey beer. It just really depends.
Oh, okay.
It smells good. I'll start off with a 6. Let me see.
6, okay.
Yeah, it's not super sweet. It's it might got bumped up. It's 6.5 right now. It might get higher as I drink it.
Yeah, you be pretty hot.
It definitely tastes like alcoholic Honeycrisp apple juice with a little bit of alcohol in it. It doesn't taste super sweet though. It doesn't like hurt your teeth or nothing when you drink it.
Oh.
It's nice. It's refreshing.
What is that, a porter? What you got, a stout?
This is a stout.
Yeah.
So this is Christmas bomb. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, there it is. Oh, okay.
That's one of your what you call craft beers?
Yeah. You will hate it, Pops.
I know I would, because if it ain't no O's, man, you hard time telling. Of course, I just congratulated them.
That's the standard.
For them. That southern state behind us, Mexico.
Mexico, yeah, Modelo, horrific beer, man.
It's
so
not
this
that
is
bad. However, I will say if I'm going south of the border, I usually go Dos Equis is my favorite.
What's the name of it?
Dos Equis.
Oh yeah,
Their commercials always have the most interesting name in the world.
Yeah, that's his beer. He liked that one.
Yeah.
All right, so Christmas Bomb is a imperial stout brewed with spices, and this one is 13% alcohol. It smells fantastic. Man.
The head on it is beautiful. I can see it from here.
Yeah, I'll start with an 8.
8.
It smells fantastic, positive. If it lives up to this, it's going up.
It starts with 8. You
gotta smell it.
You may reach an 8, but you can't have that 8 starting out at 8. Just let me try it.
It's not even as overpowering as I thought. This is like about 2 years old, so it's mellowed out a little bit. But I'll stick with my 8. Yeah, I'm comfortable there. Yeah, it's good. I expected it to be like a little bit stronger, so maybe I should have drank it last year.
You see our grandpa looking at you? He's like, "This is disrespect. This is blasphemy. You started out with 8 here. Like this ain't St. Pauli's, girl. This ain't real beer."
He's right, man. I got to go up to 8.25. Right. Let me move up a bit.
8.25.
Yeah. So I got that to enjoy. I'm gonna scarf down my food with this.
What is that?
The Anti-Hero?
Yeah, Anti-Hero. Yeah. Revolution Brewing.
Chicago, holla back. What up?
It's an IPA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go down just with my meal real quick. So I'm listening. I'm gonna jump off camera. I'm gonna eat this real fast. Otherwise, like I'll be talking and won't eat at all. So I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, cool. Let's. Oh, he done took himself off. He don't want to be seen eating. He's too good for it.
Yeah, I ain't gonna. It's not gonna be pretty, man. I feel like I ain't ate all day.
Okay. All right. Well, let's hop to it then. Let's ask the teacher first about this. How do you feel about kids being told it's safe to come back, even though there's no real treatment for this, but at the same time, well, let's go into that. Let's go into that first. How do you feel about that as a teacher?
Well, I think as a teacher, I'm never sad. I'm never happy, I'm sorry, to hear that like I won't be able to like be in the room with my students, physically be with my students, because that's one of my favorite parts of teaching, right? But when it comes to their safety, we have to put them first. And I don't think that, as much as I want to be with them, I don't think that it's right to bring them all back to school. I teach at a smaller school in Chicago, and it's still got about 775 kids. And
what's the name of
this? I personally just in school. Oh, it's Horizon Science Academy in McKinley Park. Mm-hmm. It's a charter. It goes K to 12. I teach 5th grade math currently, and we opened up a new 5th grade class. So now there's 3 5th grade classes, 20. They can fit 28 kids each. So that means I would have about 84 students if it goes to max. If I'm filled all the way up, then I would have 84 students. Sometimes kids drop out or we don't place them, or they don't end up coming to our school, but max I would usually have about 84 students, and I love them. And it was very difficult when we went to remote learning, but I had worked with a really great team of teachers, and we kind of like took it head on. We jumped straight into Google Classrooms. They had experience with it. They taught me stuff. I'm just a little computer savvy. So like I taught them some stuff on how to like, do it better. And we've just been working on it all summer. I'm still currently working with one of them. We're teaching summer school virtually and loving it. And, the kids are getting better with it and things like that. And I think that I think that having done it already, the kids are way better placed and set up, are prepared to go back virtually in the fall. I think that if you're looking at it test score wise, yes, it could harm it a little bit because there would be less time between the beginning of the year and the test. And literally, like as a teacher, every day counts. Like we absolutely hate taking days off because it's even more work. But I think that we have to put their safety ahead of whatever the state or the district deems as like important for test scores. And I think that safety comes first. So yeah, I don't think that we should be back full time in the fall.
So like you said, you guys have been preparing for it. So like, did your school offer anything for like distance learning for the students? Like what, or did they just assume everyone has internet and like a computer? Like what steps did y'all take for this?
So we took a lot of measures. I work at a charter school. Again, I said it's very small compared to other Chicago public schools because charter schools are public schools. I would like to say that first and foremost. And so we have a lot of access to technology in our high school section. Every kid is one-to-one already. They have their own laptops. And then in the lower grades, from 8th grade down, we were up to, we've only been around, this coming year will be our 8th year. We've only been around for 7 years so far. And each year we try to like improve on our technology. Like we try to use our funds to increase the amount of technology and access and stuff that the kids have. So this year we got up to 1 set of laptops for each grade, right? So all the way down to 4th grade, each grade had their own laptop cart. Not every kid, not every class, but the whole grade would share one. And this coming year, because of the pandemic and, us over the course of the remote learning, in which we used all of that technology to lend out to parents and families and things. We had iPads for the lower grades, kindergarten through 3rd grade. use iPads, or I'm sorry, kindergarten through second grade use iPads, that if they didn't have one, a tablet at home, they could borrow one from our school. And then also we lent out all of our laptops and things. And there are some kids that already have them. So it wasn't like we didn't have to be one-to-one in order to do that. We were able to lend out as many to all of our families as we could. As far as internet access goes, I don't know if it was nationwide, but definitely in Illinois, there were a bunch of programs offering free access to internet and Wi-Fi. So we shared all of that information with our parents. We really tried to share job postings and stuff for families of that had parents that lost jobs. We really tried to be very, we're very like parent family enthusiasts at our school. Our PTO has an office in our building because they do so much work that they would just deserve their own office. So we're very family friendly, very family student focused. And so we tried everything that we could to get as many of our students online as possible. After, about the first week of being on remote learning, teachers were mandated to go through our list of all our kids, see who hadn't logged on, see who, wasn't responding to emails. And we actually just made calls to all of our families that hadn't been participating to see like what was going on. Did they need technology? Do they need access? Like, what can we do to help? Is it a job? Is it like something else? So, and we, would go and deliver food and stuff like that to houses. So very active at our school. Obviously that's not the case in every school because not all schools have that much technology, have those many resources, right? But at our school, we are definitely very well prepared to come back in the fall and be virtual or at least hybrid. I think sometimes it can be difficult. I did have 2 students that showed up literally the last day of school when we were like, here are your packets. We won't see you for, at the time, 2 weeks, because they told us 2 weeks in the beginning. And, one of them did phenomenal. I mean, she did all of her work. She came to all of my classes. She learned so much. By the end of the year, she was like, I just love this class so much. And I was like, I'm so glad because I've only met you one time in my life. Like, we've only actually met one time. And so, but it's been very interesting. So I'm prepared to, darn, I had a point to that, but I actually don't remember what it was.
What happens, man? The seagrams then got to you.
I know, there it goes. I'm like, the black cherry has fizzled all of the things out of my brain. But yeah, we're prepared is all I'm saying. There's been a lot of steps taken to make sure that our students and our families would be ready to come back virtually in the fall.
Question. You're out of Chicago?
Yes.
Oh, I kept hearing Chicago, but I didn't know. I thought you were Michigander.
Well, I'm currently in Michigan because I'm originally from Michigan. I moved out there 7 years ago when my school opened.
Oh, okay.
I've been there ever
You're
since.
from Michigan, though.
I do. I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, product of Michigan. I grew up in Rochester Hills, which is like 30 minutes north of Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Pops, what you think? Should the kids go back to school?
Huh?
Was that your original question, Josh?
No, are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, what was the question now?
He asked you what you think about what she said. Like, should kids go back to school? Like, should it be distance learning? What's the situation?
I'm like, I'm gonna walk the plank, safely, and say when they're ready, when it's safe to go back, go back. But none of this go back because of some political reasons. Because you got too much to lose, going back early, and you wind up in, another 6 months, that you won't be able to go to school because they have to shut down because of the virus, That's just me,
I mean, like, definitely everything she just said was talking about how they were prepared for distance learning. Like, I ain't heard nothing. I ain't heard nothing about what Samantha said about going back into the building.
Oh,
yeah.
So
it sounds like they ain't going back.
That was what I was gonna say. So there is something to be said for students at least getting seeing the person who's going to be teaching them, starting to bond that relationship. However, it can be done. It can be done virtually, but So we're waiting for the state to tell us. In Illinois, we're waiting for the state to tell us what they've decided. And then we are a district of 1, so we get to make a lot of decisions on our own too, beyond that, but we still have to follow state law. So we try to stick to whatever CPS does, but if we feel, really, really strongly about something, then we can differ from whatever they do. But we try to fall in line. And they're considering either completely virtual learning, remote learning, distance learning in the beginning, or doing what they call a hybrid, where only certain grade levels will be allowed to come to school on certain days. So that way there's way less people in the building, and things like that. Now, my opinion on that would just be, great, there's less people, but you're still asking for, you're still putting people at risk, because kids in general don't really understand social distancing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Hell, adults though.
Honestly.
But so this whole thing, COVID thing, is really highlighting the fact that Black folks, you got to get your money together, because people who got money, this is just an inconvenience. There are families and there are people that are going to be destroyed under this thing, but it really comes down to economics. And it sounds like your school is just mad prepared for this. Not prepared, but was willing to adapt and make it happen, right? Not under the bureaucracy of CPS, right?
Yeah.
Because they're behind, and you're even providing for students that, are less fortunate, that might not have. So that's all dope. But I just think about, what about the people that are they ain't got no choice, right? So I run a group called Raising Proud Black Children, right? And I interact with thousands of parents regularly. And a lot of them, too many of them, are just flat saying, my son, my daughters, my kids, they got to go back to school. They don't got no choice, because they got to go back to work. And because if they continue to not go to work, the bill's not going to be paid and everybody going to be out on the street. This is, I said it highlighted for Black people that we need to get our money together, but it really highlights that America is not prepared for what seems like anything, right? I don't know, but they're definitely not prepared for this pandemic. And it is way more complex and nuanced than the political discussions that are going on. And if the politicians and the people in control had compassion, I think that they would see those things, but they clearly don't. And I don't know where that leaves us. I just keep saying, my heart bleeds for these parents and these children and these babies and these teachers, that's got to be faced with that. And anybody that has to go to work, right? My wife and I, we talked about this last night. We're just in such a fortunate situation, right? Because our children would, even if they were smaller, right? They wouldn't have to go to school. She doesn't have to go to work. I don't have to leave the house. We don't have to do anything. We could just literally wait this thing out. That's why I say it's clearly an economic thing, and I feel for,
I think I referred to this once before. Back in the 30s, when Franklin Delano Roosevelt was president, and they needed some money. Now we know that we got about 10,000 millionaires, 700 billionaires. But what I'm referring to is that Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, if a person makes over 250,000, this is back in the 30s now. If you make over 250,000 or $300,000 now, then they tax you something like 97%. Gonna be taxed over that amount, right?
94%.
94%. Okay, now we're in that position now that the money's there, but it ain't in the hands of everybody, And some people now are making a fortune off of what's happening. This pandemic, a lot of folks is going bankrupt, and some folks, ain't got enough room in the bank. They got to go get another bank to fill up the things. So the thing
literally,
it always boils
down getting rich
to money. You check out who we was talking about. Every time you put money into it, the whole scenario changed. And a perfect example of that is the Washington Redskins, you know. Money, you know. He said, I ain't gonna never do this. Just what the rich people got all the money. Said, no, we ain't gonna never have this, you know, until you hit the pocketbook. And then they fall in line and say, okay, maybe we will have a little social conscience. Maybe we will get up a little bit of our money to this good social cause, you know. It changed a lot of people's minds, you know.
I want to ask this question because I think I saw it on something Pooh Bear posted like a while ago about what do you say to the people who it's now okay to send your kids to school unvaccinated from a situation that's like this new virus that we don't have anything prepared for as a treatment, but it was not okay to send your kids to school if they weren't vaccinated or they didn't have shots. Like you were looked at crazy, but now it's like now if you don't put your kids to school, it's a problem. Like, what do you say to those people?
Are you talking? Who's that?
That's anybody can answer that.
I learned a long time ago. I don't have kids personally, and so I didn't have a stance on the vaccination, whatever. And then I started teaching, and I went to school for education, and my professor, the day we talked about, because I went to school for early childhood education, which I think that every teacher should, because you learn how kids learn, how people develop into adults, and the importance of what you do and how you do it early to set the stage for later success, right? But that was a side note. My teacher, the day we talked about vaccination, she's like, I don't care what your opinion is, you need to vaccinate your kids. All kids need to be vaccinated. And it's the same as this mask business, right? It's like, oh, you worrying about like your thing, how you're gonna feel, how you know, how it's gonna affect you and yours. But what you're not worrying about is how it affects the whole rest of the world, right? Like every person that you come into contact, and within a week, right, we can come into contact with thousands of people. And those are the people that can be affected. Like it can be that fast. It can be that simple. The measles, I believe, last year came back and had like an outbreak. The measles have been gone for decades, like because of the vaccination, and the science behind it is so strong. It doesn't even make sense. But you know, because we live in this world where it's like, oh, I read a post on Reddit, and so now I know everything about this thing. I'm like, or you could just learn about, like, don't just take someone's word for it. Investigate it. Don't read one thing and think that you know all about it. Read a couple of things, see if they align. You know what I mean? Like really try to understand things. And I think that we live in a microwave world, right? Like instant gratification. I just want to look it up and be like, okay, this is it. I know it. And in some cases that's easy, right? Who was in that movie? Look it up. You got it. It's most likely going to be correct. But when it comes to issues like Uncle Pooh was saying that are so complicated, like there's so many different moving parts. I think that you really have to be conscious of not just taking one story. I mean, that's what they did to Black people, right? They took one story that was true, or they take one story that's true in one case and they use it to blanket statement all of us, right? And we have to stop doing that with the media and with like all these things that are coming out. We have to be more diligent in that. But it's like, that's a learned skill too. So
you asking people to educate themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Good luck with that.
you asking people to take personal responsibility for their information.
Yeah,
and
good luck with that too.
Like we live in a headline world. Like you see people arguing over posts they put on social media where they just read the headline and that's it. It's like, I'm mad. Like it's like the episode of the Moondocks where they talk about throwing a chair and don't even got hit nobody and people just mad and fighting. Like it's right. I mean, it's just, what are you saying, Grandpa?
Out of the educational system, and we should start with work. DeVos, she's not an educator, but she's a politician. So she's coming there with the school system with her line of what she thinks should be done, not with what needs to be done, but what she thinks should be done. And what she thinks needs to be done is of course, by the administration that's in power, you know. They whisper in her ear and tell her all this different stuff, Yeah.
And there's no personal responsibility. Well, they told
They
me
al-
that this is
they
right. They
always go
told me
back to
this
that,
works.
man. You got the money?
If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Look, Betsy DeVos is Trump. They the same people. They pure capitalists.
That's
Their
right.
the decisions that they make, it doesn't impact their children or anybody they know. It has no bearing on them whatsoever. So all they're concerned about is the bottom line, the money that's going to be generated, not for America, not for the tax dollars, not for the people, but for the contracted companies that the government hires around education that are all of their friends and their campaign contributors. This is, that's just what it is. And we just got to see it that way. But that's why, again, I just feel for the people, because it's absolutely ridiculous that you got to be in this position led by criminals, which, applies universally to pretty much most of the government offices. This isn't, Trump didn't bring this. He didn't bring this into the White House.
I often tell people, I got into an argument with someone once and they were talking about how they were really upset.
Trump didn't just walk in, he came in on somebody's shoulder. That's the reason he's still there now. Ain't nobody in the world can do as much as he done unless he was sitting up on somebody's shoulder and they were propping him up.
He spoke to their beliefs. I tell people often that the United States doesn't have an official religion, right? That's like what we're built on. But we actually do, and it's called capitalism. 100%. And when Trump came and he started speaking to the people that got money,
show me the money.
It's follow the money. Oh, well, he gonna get us the money, so we gonna follow him. And he's been doing it 100%. I have my brother-in-law inside right now. He works at Quicken Loans, and the CEO of Quicken Loans is like friends with Trump, right? Like they're business people.
The good brother.
My good brother, Stephen. He and my sister was talking to me on the phone, and she's like, it's crazy listening to Steve talk about his job and Quicken Loans as a business, and then watching the news and watching how it all plays out, and Trump being like, oh, you know what, we don't, we can't make our own tests, we don't have that technology yet, blah blah blah. And within that week, the CEO of Quicken Loans bought a warehouse somewhere out in the boonies somewhere, and he filled it with technology to make vaccines and everything like that. Now he's gonna get paid off of that, right? And then later that week, Trump's on TV talking about, we figured it out, we found a way to create these vaccines. I was like, no, you was waiting on your friends to get paid off of it. That's what you were waiting on. That's what this was about. And it's always like that. In Chicago, the same thing happened when it was time to go to remote learning and to send the kids home. Every other place was done. We've been on distance learning for like 2 weeks now. Chicago waited because the mayor, Lori Lightfoot, didn't want to give in to the teachers, the Chicago Teachers Union, because they had already gone on strike that year and they had to, negotiate, and she had to say yes to some of their demands already. Well, I'm not gonna just give in to the teachers union every time. It's not about that. Stop worrying about the politics. What you need to worry about is the kids that are in these schools, your daughter who is in these schools and putting herself at risk every day. But you don't care about that. You just want to care about how it looks, how somebody's gonna take it.
Yeah, her daughter ain't gonna go. You know what I mean? That's all these people making the decisions got money. All the politicians are millionaires. How in the hell are all of how are all of the representatives millionaires? Like all of them, every single one are millionaires, and they represent the people. They have no idea how the people live. Like they have no concept that somebody has to go to work because their children gotta go to school. Their children gotta go to school because they gotta go to work. Like that doesn't even resonate with anybody in those offices. Like it's ridiculous. But that's the people's fault, and that's another discussion.
I mean, it's so I just learned this past week, right? So every branch of government has to have a way to make money independent of like taxes and stuff, apparently. So the education branch, and we all know what it is. Like if you think about it, you already know what it is. What branch of the education branch is the part that's supposed to make them money? Like, just guess.
Education.
No, like what is like in what way? Like what? How is that? How is it supposed to make them money? Like it's something it's something we all filled out.
What, the
People are paying
census?
for it?
Nah, FAFSA. FAFSA is the branch of the education branch that makes it money.
Oh, okay. The interest earned.
Yeah.
Yes, I did not know that. I filled out FAFSA for years and they had no idea. I was like, whatever. You know what I mean? And just like this is something you're just supposed to do. And they make it like basically mandatory. Like if you're going to college, you gotta fill out a FAFSA, no matter what. And it's like for me, like I understand you want your government not to want to take so much out of your taxes because they got to find a way to make money. But at the same time, to educate oneself in the better oneself, it shouldn't be, at least in my opinion, because I don't want to get anybody else in trouble. At least in my opinion, it shouldn't be a thing where you have to worry about what exactly this is going to do for me. You know what I mean? Like, am I going to be able to pay off this debt? And if it's really your passion, and if like this, it shouldn't be the way that you figure out something to do else. You know, I mean, your passion may not make you a lot of money. It could be just a hobby you do on the side, but you shouldn't have to determine because of like the social structure of America that, man, I don't want to go to school because my passion is not going to make me money if I get this degree. And I'm going to look like I'm going to be shunned by my family because I didn't go to college. It shouldn't be that, because like there's a lot of people who don't want to have like engineering or medical degrees who actually get paid money they can support themselves or paying off a debt like that, who just, you know, like there's other ways, but like I think we're starting in our society to start being okay with that and finding other ways around. But for a long time, if you there was TV shows, commercials, if you weren't going to college, you were a dope. You can't be friends with that person's going nowhere. And that destroyed a lot of lives.
That was a different time period though, because that was like when I was coming up and like before me, really, like you had to go to school. Like that language isn't so strong anymore. Like it's still out there, but people are starting to realize you can learn to be an electrician, you can learn to be a plumber, and you can make 6-7 figures even if you went into entrepreneurship with those crafts without the debt. And people are
so much
starting
money to be paid an electrician for real.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
like that what you're talking about, that died maybe in me and Samantha's generation. Like I remember being a kid on Saturday, watching Saturday morning cartoons on Channel 7 and seeing commercials like that telling you, you know, doing stuff. So I mean, like,
no, the college push has definitely been, you know, through my generation, y'all generation, and I'm just saying it's slowing up now.
Yeah,
there are a lot of people that are going back to trades that are saying, like, as long as you're skillful and you know how to generate money, you don't need to go. It's not the only route.
But here's the thing too, you're right. But what they're doing now is they know that people are thinking that, and that's becoming, it's becoming more of a thing now, right? Vocations, right? It's coming back, which is why you have things like ITT Tech. Don't go to college, come to us. But guess what? Most of the time, those schools, those little heating and cooling, HVAC, you know, those little schools, they cost the same, if not more sometimes than a regular university. They're taking what people think, like, they're like, oh, but there's whole other group that's not tapped. We're not getting money off of them because they're not going to college. They're like, oh, I got a way. Let's make a school, not call it a college. Let's call it an institute. And then we can make them pay for it. Then we can tell them, oh, don't go to college. There's this other way, just to get a trade. Learn how to do HVAC, learn how to do electricity, and we'll teach it to you. And you can be done way faster than college.
What's interesting is Dad can tell you about, you know, when they used to teach these trades in the schools, right? Pops?
Yeah. But you know, at the time though, when they were teaching those trades, you take like when I was in high school, I took printing was big at this particular time as a trade, as a skill. I took a printing trade, but they were just, bottom line was, you didn't hire no black printers. Same thing with the carpenters. I'm going back now to the 40s, you know. You get this skill, you go to mechanic school, you couldn't get no dealership would hire a black mechanic. But now it's done changed, you know. to that situation. But back in the time, you know, all these different skills they were teaching in school, it wasn't worth a damn because nobody would hire you.
Grandpa, when did Job Corps start?
The Job Corps?
Yeah. Remember, like you used to be able to go down Jefferson during the summer if you wanted to like pick up a internship or a trade or whatever. And, like you could just go down to the Jefferson building or whatever. Or where, like when did that start? This was in Detroit.
I can't remember.
I remember that being like a big. I remember hearing that on the radio. Like I didn't know what it was, but like, you know, it was something that you heard in the back of your head. Like, man, you need a job, you need a trade, and learn something. It was Job Corps. Like, I wish. Dang, I was asking because I thought you would know more about it, but it was a pretty big deal. Like if you were trying to like just do something with your life, it wasn't like go to the military all the time. It was like, hey, you can go out to the Job Corps and find yourself a job and support yourself. I wonder if that's still going on.
It could be. I remember something about it, but
they still got a website. It looks like it's jobcorps.gov. It says on the internet that it was founded in 1964.
Okay, yeah, that was a big deal. There's some people that I know who went to the Job Corps and found to it.
What year was that?
1964.
1964. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that was in Washington, D.C., so it could have taken time to get to Michigan.
Oh.
But no, that goes back to I guess the original part of this whole thing. Like, what are we really doing here? Like, it's like I get what Poober is saying. Like, we're school is essentially like they're like we gotta get the economy back. You can't expect people to do physical labor, go to work because everybody can't do like you can't do remote work. Everybody can't. But it's I mean, it's interesting because it's some jobs are trying to get ahead of it, right? Some jobs are trying to adapt. They're trying to make it so that their employees don't have to make these life altering decisions all the time by trying to provide money for childcare or provide childcare at work or whatever they can do. But it's interesting that as a society we decide to put all the onus on the people, but at the same time ask much of our government. And then at the same time, say you're weak for asking for help. Like we can't have all these archetypes. It can't be all these different things. Like you want all these people to do well, but at the same time, you don't want people to do well. It's strange.
But you know, our salvation lies within the social media, which we're doing now, because this information that we're talking about now. Somebody probably got a comment over in Brazil or Argentina, whatever. You remember the night when I think it was me and you was on the YouTube or something, and I think you made a statement. I can't recall, but this lady was in Ghana. You remember? Can you remember that? And she called and commented.
Oh, the people who comment all the time.
How small the world is, though. Now, you know, this is all. We got to reorganize because this is a different game, you know.
Oh no, I get what you're saying.
All I'm saying is that we can advance. Before, nobody would ever know that you didn't get this or you didn't get that or this didn't happen to you. But now, the whole world is in on your story.
Oh,
it means a lot because you can move forward now too.
It's definitely like I had to
hear it now, you know.
I had a disagreement like over like last week, and it was so it was over what Deshaun Jackson had said about like what he was quoting, like that fake Hitler quote, and this dude was like, I don't know how Deshaun could say such a thing, like Jews had to experience the worst Holocaust ever, and I was just like the worst genocide ever. Say Holocaust, he said the worst genocide ever, and I'm just like they experienced genocide, but it wasn't the worst. And I was like, look up Leopold II. Of like 10 or 11 million Africans that were killed in Africa, and he was just like, he's like, I never heard of this. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't know about this. And I'm just like, it's because they don't teach in the schools. I'm like, you know, I didn't learn about this till I'm saying me now. Like, I didn't know about this till I was an adult. Like, there's so many things that involve darker skinned people I'm not that dark, but like, you know, darker than white people who just get swept under the rug historically. That, I mean, it's like, even though it wasn't directly affecting American history, the fact that Hitler used that as a case study, like, oh, this is how you commit genocide, should have been taught, because it's not like It's a 10 or 11 million. It could have been more. Like, that's a big deal. Like, to wipe out that large of people as efficiently as they did, and for it to not be taught at all, like for me as a black person or just a human, to never have heard about it till I was an adult is absurd to me.
You know, the Holocaust, there's a lot of propaganda is involved in this. And I'm gonna take you back before the war. Let's go back there.
Which war?
World War II.
Okay.
When the Jewish people were trying to leave Germany, and they came to every country in the world, nobody would take them in. They had to go back to Germany. So Hitler gets blamed, but he don't get all the blame because this whole industrial society was making money off the Jews when they were in concentration camps, you know. But you put a man out there and say he's the cause of all of it. No, he had the industrialists behind him and everything.
What do you mean what do you mean they were making money off them in concentration camps? I did not know that. What are you talking about?
Auschwitz. Auschwitz wasn't just a concentration, it was a concentration camp that produced it. It produced materials and things. They had industry.
You're saying like the prison industrial complex here today.
Free labor. Same thing. You know what I mean? So you could put Hitler out there by himself, but there's a whole lot of other folks, man, that allowed this particular thing to happen.
The Bushes backed him.
All right.
The Bushes was backing Hitler. They was invested in him. Ford was over there in Germany at the time. Like, it's crazy. They just, you know.
No, I know about.
It's revisionist history. But Josh, you're much more lenient than I. Like, you talk about, like, you know, oh, they should have included it. You're still optimistic. This is why the youth got to lead the future, though, because I'm such a cynic now that it's not that they left it out. This was strategically done. They have no intent on shining a light on that information. Just like they have no intent on shining a light on the achievements of Black people in their contributions to humanity. They have no intent on talking about that in any of their school systems, because what they're doing is they're framing generations. I can't even say a generation. They're framing the thought on history and what has happened and what must happen in the future by utilizing the children. And, you know, we are passive participants in that because we're allowing our children to be framed in this particular thinking that doesn't include Leopold, that doesn't include the horrors of Cecil Rhodes, that doesn't include the scramble for Africa, that doesn't include the genocide here in America, doesn't include any of these things, nor the achievements of any of these individuals, so that little Black and brown people can grow up with hope and ambition in their heart, other than Barack Obama, right? Because he conformed to the system. He plays a particular role, so he's okay to highlight. You can't talk about Haile Selassie. You can't talk about, you know, you can't even talk about Garvey. Like, it's kind of, you know, it's I knew system. That's what I'm getting at.
I knew a little bit.
It's not happenstance. Like, oh, we failed to include that. No, they know that damn history. They just pushed it to the side. Like, nah,
I knew a little bit about the Ford thing. I knew a little bit about the Ford thing, but like, what do you mean the Bushes invested in? I didn't know anything about that. Like, where'd you read that?
Yeah, so Bush. Okay, so we think about Daddy Bush. You think about
Prescott Bush.
Yeah. Go ahead. Let me let you get it.
I was just calling the name, not George H. Bush, but Prescott. But his father was the one that was involved in it.
Yeah. His father that was above that was the head of the CIA. So you gotta, all these people didn't just show up on the scene, right? Like, none of these people just shown up. They've always been major players. And that's why their children and all of this continues to circle, because they pull so many different strings globally. But we just love to act like it's just about what you see, as if you never read, you know, a murder mystery that was complex and dynamic and that was conspiratorial, right? Because they dismiss people who talk, oh, these are conspiracy theories, these are crazy, as if people have never conspired in history. Like, are you kidding me? This is how all of the global powers have ever come to power, is through conspiracy, through working together amongst one another, the privileged and the wealthy, to suppress movements, to insert other leaders into more what do you call it, like appreciable leaders, into positions of power that hold influence over wealth and resources that they can get their, man, it's crazy. If you read The Scramble for Africa, I just read it like 2-3 weeks ago. I heard about it and I never really understood like the Berlin Conference. Like, are y'all familiar? I don't know. Maybe
I know about the Berlin Conference.
I was absolutely floored. That's a great read there too. The Debt.
Randall Robertson,
Go ahead. Yeah.
at the time when Mandela was in prison, he begged to get the United States to sanction the wrongdoing that were happening in South Africa. So this man deserves a lot of credit. They didn't sanction South Africa. That was when Castro went over there. But I'm just saying though, there's a lot of places where sanctions should be applied, but they don't apply it unless it is beneficial to them. You know, it ain't got nothing to do with humanitarian problems.
Yeah. I just started I put it down. I got to put it back up. But man, it's Kwame Ture's book on Black Power and like the politics. But anyway, early in the book, he asks this question. He just says, I wonder, when will white people grow enough shame to reverse some of the systems of oppression that are in place? Because that's really what it's going to take. Reason doesn't do it. Logic doesn't do it. Compassion hasn't done it. Awareness hasn't done it. As fired up as I am over this particular movement that's going on, there's no teeth to none of this. And that moment will pass and they'll go right back to sleep like they always have. I just wonder, when are they gonna get enough shame? Like, you just gotta shame them. There's nothing else you can do. You can't. We keep trying to logic and reason with them, man. It's not enough.
But that's the thing. So we're in it and we're trying to logic and reason. And when you're in it, don't nobody really have to listen to you because we're not the ones in power. They don't have to listen to us. That's why literally, so I'm in this book club with some of my other teacher friends who needed to wake up. And they were like, you know, I showed up late and the first like 25 minutes, like I showed up 5 minutes late. So they had already started talking is what I mean. So they had already started talking and I just let them go for like 25 so minutes because all they're talking about is like, I didn't even understand that this was still going on. Like, I've always taught to my kids that we're past this moment in history, that this is over, that used to happen and it doesn't happen anymore. And we're not like that. And it's shocking to see that. And literally the other Black lady in the group was like, it is insane to listen to white people talk about how they didn't know that racism was happening. They didn't have enough shame about it to just say it. Like, you are so worried about how I told him, I was like, as your friend, you are so worried about how you're going to be perceived that you don't even want to admit that it still exists. Right. That's what I'm like, you're so worried about your own self that you can't see that you being scared of this moment is what's keeping me, sorry, hold on. Am I back?
Yeah.
Okay. Is what's keeping me and people who look like me oppressed. That little bit of shame, that little bit of scared is what's keeping all of us oppressed. And I'm like, and what you're telling me, what you tell me when you say like, well, I just didn't say anything because I didn't know what to say. It wasn't my place. I'm like, what you're saying is that you won't be a little bit uncomfortable. You won't be this much uncomfortable in this moment so that I can be a little more comfortable for the rest of my life. Yeah. That's the trade-off that you're saying. That's the trade-off. Yeah. And they will, and then that's the thing. And we were talking about this the other day, me and Sean, where is that like power is one of those, it's like energy. It can be transferred, but it can't be destroyed. So that power that white people have had for so long, the only way for the marginalized groups to gain some is for them to lose some. Because there's only so much power. There's only so much will to do things or ability to do things. And for us to gain more, they have to give it up. And that is so terrifying. It's so terrifying. I mean, when it comes to, just money, position, power, to me. So when we talk about education not being the way, as a teacher, obviously, I believe that education is the way. But my problem is that it's wrapped up in money, right? I did my study abroad in Mexico and I stayed with a family. The dad was a civil engineer. The mom was an architect. They both worked from home. They got to walk their kids to school. They made them breakfast, lunch, dinner every day. They got to hang out in the afternoons, all of that stuff. And I'm like, wow, like most of the families that we meet around here are like that. I didn't say wow, because to me that just seemed like I was just going to learn about it, because we have a lot of misconceptions about Mexico and other countries that are not the U.S. Because of that revisionist history, right? Like we make things up and we make it to make us look better. But she was like, well, I took classes at the university. Like I went to the university, like most people around here do. And I was like, that's really cool. She was like, yeah, I mean, one class at the university for them, she's like, it's like $270.
Right. It's
So
reasonable.
everybody goes to school. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what if the United States stopped making education about money? If it stopped being like that? If we did tax people more money? That's what you were like, oh, people don't want to be taking them. I'm like, I don't care. Take my money if it means that everybody gets to be better. If everybody gets an education because you take a little bit more of my money and I have to worry less about spending all of my money to send my kids to college, to send my godson to like, if I have to worry a little bit less about that and their future and their ability to change that future through the education, through the power that comes with education and knowing things and being able to be responsible for your own learning and to understand, like, I don't have to take what you say. White people are always going to do that. They're always going to change the story. When you realize that, you stop just being like, oh, well, that's what they said, so that's what it was. You start saying, well, no, because I've been to school and I've talked to other scholars, and while they're educated, they don't always know the best, right? I need to go look, I need to go research, I need to go out there and look and find the truth, find what's really out there, right? Find the information. But a lot of people don't learn that. That's really what college does. I don't think that any college is really better than the other one, except for the fact that, do they challenge you to do all that stuff on your own, to learn these things on your own? And that's why you only meet with a professor once a week. This remote learning, I kept telling the high school kids, I'm sorry, because they were like, well, we only see our teachers like once a week, and then there's just so much work to do. I'm like, honey, that you will be one of the greatest classes that will be preparing for college, because you are doing it in high school. You don't get to talk to somebody every day. They're going to tell you about a thing, and then you're going to go learn on it on your own. That is your job. That is what you need to do. If you want to move ahead in the system, this is how you need to do it. I can't spoon feed you everything. I can't just, you know what I mean? When you're in elementary school, when you're a kid, yes, there's a little bit of that, right? Like we have to get you there. We have to teach you the foundational blocks, right? I have to give it to you, and I have to like get it in your head. And I can give it to you a lot, right? Because you're small and you're going to learn it. But once you learn it from here on, then you'll have it. And I won't have to spoon feed you. We have to do more of that. And I think that if we can tear down and it's that capitalism. I literally just think capitalism just ruined the world. It just ruined the world. I think about Native Americans and how they had like barter systems. Everything was based off of the earth, and really understanding like, we don't own any of this stuff. We learn about it. We try to take care of it because it's what sustains us, right? That idea, that mentality, right? Even Mayan societies and honestly Egyptian, like it's really learning about where you are. Me and Sean were just talking about this, like learning about where you are and understanding that in order to be a part of it and to help it sustain me so I can sustain it, you really have to understand it and stop changing things just so that I can be more comfortable, right? Animals don't do that. Sean loves ants, right? And he talks about how successful they are as colonies, right? And how their system for how they run colonies is and it hasn't changed forever, right? But I'm like, because they don't try to continually change everything. They look at what they work with what they have, and they make it so that they sustain it, and it continually sustains them. That's what trees do. That's what plants do. Like we wouldn't live without trees, right? Like they learned how to take in what we give out, and then we take in what they give out. That's how we evolve, and we learn to live in
your neighbors are cutting them down.
You know,
I'm about recycling. Your girl recycles everything.
What are you saying, Grandpa?
I was going to say, our president said the other day about Venezuela, and he says, we're not going to have any socialism in this hemisphere. And then you take Western Europe, they got national health care, They got a lot of places like Germany with free education from through the universities. They got all of these things. And somebody said, yeah, but their taxes are high. But that's what the taxes are. For you to prosper off of your tax, you pay high tax. You don't mind getting a free education since you're paying the taxes. But what they're doing is telling us that they paying them. And come to find out, over in Germany, they were making $50 an hour when we was making 30. And they had us to believe, that the taxes, but they could afford. Germany was making $20 more an hour than we were, so they could afford to pay the taxes. But they were getting a benefit. What I'm saying is getting a benefit from the taxes, and that's that social conscience that they try to keep from this capitalist society. They don't want no social conscience to it. They say, I'm for me and you for you, and, and that's it, And I used to remember, what reminds me of was the Federal Reserve Bank and the gold. And I know y'all too young to ever remember this, but they used to show it on TV. The Federal Reserve, countries deal in gold. And they take a pile of gold out of this stack and put it in this stack, but there's only so much gold, So if this guy start getting smaller, this guy start getting bigger, he gonna have less and he gonna have more. So what I'm saying is a system evolves around this now, there's only so much money. This is why you got the billionaires and you got the poor people, because there's so much money and they taking the money out of this pile and putting it in this pile. So one guy got a great big stack of money, he can't even get it in his house. Another guy ain't got enough to get a loaf of bread, But that's just that social thing that Trump said, we don't want no socialism. Well, we don't want no socialism. Why hold down in South America? Just about every country tried for some socialism. They decided to try to destroy them. And I mean, you can go to Colombia, Chile, all of them, Venezuela. So, I mean, capitalism got to have a social conscience. They got to share something. You can't just keep on making your power bigger out of my power.
100%.
Well, Grandma, speak on what she said about how education is right now. How like when you're in lower grades, like how was it back then when you were in school? What was it like? Like, did people spoon feed you? Like, was it kind of like you had to get it on your own? Like, what was it like?
No, we when you say spoon food, I mean, you got a class, 25 or 30 kids in a class, but this was back in the 30s at the time when this country, at least in the 30s, had a kind of somewhat of a social conscience in that the elementary schools had nurses in there. The junior high school had a dentist there, get your teeth filled and things. That's that socialism that you need when people ain't got no money,
Y'all don't understand how important dental health is to education. Like, seriously.
Yes. Go ahead.
Speak on it.
No, I just wanted to add that because that point that you made, it's so important. And we've lost so many of those things. Even my school, like we just got a new principal, and that's like his first goal is to get us a full-time nurse because for the last 7 years.
All had full-time nurses,
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, and we keep losing these things because of the money, right? They cut our budget. We don't have money for a nurse. We don't have money for a dentist. We can't pay them enough. I'm like, stop worrying about all these other things and worry about the health of your children because it directly correlates.
I don't know exactly how the vaccinations work in the schools now, but when I was going to school, and if you started in the kindergarten, when you went into the school, the first thing they did, they vaccinated. It didn't cost nothing. They vaccinated everybody. I don't know. You might have got to pay for somebody to get vaccinated before you can get into the schools. I'm assuming that's what it is now. But it was a time the schools made sure everybody was vaccinated with chicken pox, the measles, all that, before you even started school. But it was free. That was part of that social conscience I'm saying that you got to have in a society. But some people, if it wasn't, some people couldn't afford. At this particular time, the doctors, you could have a doctor living next door to you. You want to go see the doctor, but you still got to have some money. Some of the doctors have practices on their back porches. It's quite a change now with the healthcare. If you ain't got no healthcare, don't be going to no doctor.
That's a whole nother discussion. That's a whole nother discussion.
Right?
Again, another one that just highlights that if you're at the bottom of the economic floor, you are in trouble.
You're in big trouble, man.
You are in big trouble. And this country has proven that it has no conscience. So they are willing to watch you die your babies die, unless they like in your belly. They love you when you in their belly. You can't. It's all about that baby in that belly. Once it come out that belly, hey, that's well, you shouldn't have had them. Well, you should.
Well, now it's your responsibility. Why did you have kids? Why did you?
Yeah. So what you ain't got nothing like that? That's your fault.
No, that's definitely the wild part about it, man. It's a country of contradictions. Like, as we got so many people. I remember I was telling people that I found some information about how on COVID, about how Japan they got less than 1,000 deaths since this all started, right? And it's mainly because like they didn't shut down the bulk of their economy. Like, they didn't do nothing like that. It was just people took personal responsibility and distanced themselves. People wore masks. I mean, they wore masks in Japan anyway. Like, that was just a normal thing. But like, down to the children, they understood that it was important for everyone to take responsibility for their actions because of how it affects everyone else. And it's easy to do that. And one of my friends said, in a homogenous society, when for the most part everyone looks like you, you care about people who look like you. In America, we don't have that. Everybody don't look like everybody in America. For the most part.
Nah, yeah, I agree with you on the surface, but when you get down to it, America is segregated as hell. White people live by white people, black people live by black people, Russians live by Russians, Kenyans live by Kenyans, Indians live by Indians, Chinese got their own community. It is the most segregated country. It's always segregated like it's always been. So when you go outside, when I go outside my door, everybody looks like me. So I don't, that's where that breaks down for me. I just think that it's the American mentality that you can't tell me shit. You what? I'm an American. America, buddy. Fucking freedom. That's what we're about here. I can do what I want to do. No, that shit applies to them over there. Those Mexicans, those dirty Mexicans need to wear those masks. Not me, I'm an American. And that's the issue. That's the damn problem. Because you see the same problem is in America is in the UK. It's the same people. It's the same mentality. It's that rugged individualism. And I got here on my own. We raised ourselves by our own bootstraps, and you can't tell me nothing. Freedom. Let's build our militia. Someday we might have to fight the government. It's that whole damn mentality that's bred into this country, and all of its inhabitants have adopted it. Right? I just think it's ridiculous. Like, and that's stay your ass at home so we can go outside again. I just want to go outside.
Before you make that point, Sam, like, Grandpa, you were in the military during World War II and the Vietnam War. So you actually been in the military. You understand chain of command. Like, how do you feel about stuff like that when you fought for a country when, you know, people don't even want to care about the person next to them, when, you know, they when in one breath they'll say, like, you know, we respect everybody, like we love our military and things like that. But on the other hand, they don't practice none of the stuff they preach about it, like caring about your neighbor and stuff like that. How you feel about that, Grandpa?
I was in a segregated army because I was never integrated into the military, you know, because the military ended segregated army units. They ended that in 1948 in the States, but it never got overseas at this particular time. I was over in Japan. So I never experienced being in a integrated outfit. So I'm part of that old, the 24th, 9th and 10th Cavalry, 24th, 25th Infantry Battalion, 761st Tank Battalion, the 99th Pursuit Squadron. All of those were black outfits, you know. And everyone that I mentioned never, you know, was integrated into a one army thing. I got this book, you know, which Sean gave me, The Liberators. Yeah, it talks about the American Revolution. It talks about the War of 1812. It talks about the Mexican War, the Spanish-American War, the Civil War, World War I, World War II. So we have participated as a people in all the wars, you know. but it's pretty hard to go in there and find where you was in it, you know. There was
Like
no,
we was over there in World War, over there in France. I couldn't find, you ain't see one brother. Now one soul brother, none of them pictures.
and the book I have called The Liberator, and it shows some black troops going into Normandy, you know. And the guys are complaining. They're saying, "What are we down here in the hole and all the good food up on top?" You know, I got a book there, you know. So we've always been given the lesser of the experience, you know.
And I'm saying, like, how do you feel about that in relation to what I just asked you, though? Like, you did all this stuff. You managed to make the best out of bad situations, even in the military, you know, fighting for your country. And people who are supposedly like really big on the military, really big on supporting the troops and supporting, you know, just brotherhood and stuff like that, they seemingly don't care about their neighbor. You know what I mean? They seemingly don't care about the situation we're in. And it's not like we don't have empirical data at this point. Like, we see countries that are doing well in this situation. We see countries that aren't. And we see what people are doing. Like, like, how do you feel about that? Like, what do you think about this? Like, what do you think about that?
I must admit, you were talking to me?
Yeah. Say, Grandpa.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
You said, well, you'll have to.
Well, basically, I'm saying is you have people who really stand on, or like they say they stand on God and country, right? Like, I respect my military. I respect all the people who, you know, who died and who defend our country. But like, in the same breath, they won't stand by their neighbor. They won't do what's best for everybody else.
You're talking about your president, ain't you?
No, I'm talking about just people in general. Like, there are people who.
I mean, seemed like you was talking about your president directly, because he was the one.
Oh no, I was not talking about our president. I was talking about the fact that I've seen.
Well, here's a man who came into office saying it was okay to cheat the government, not to pay no taxes. Any way you can get around paying the tax, that's great, you know. So that's one of his finer qualities. The same thing about the military. He got 2 or 3 deferments, you know, but it's okay because you outsmarted the government. Okay. Are you with what I'm saying?
No, I hear what you're saying, but I'm asking a particular question. I'm saying, like, you've been in the service. You've done, like, even when you got out the military, you work for the post office. Like, you've done more for America as a patriot, quote unquote, than people who say they're patriots. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
but like, the biggest notion of that is you care about your neighbor, you care about your fellow Americans. And like, what do you feel about people who say it, but when asked to do something that is quote unquote appears to be simple, right? Like, even for the people who don't wear masks, right?
That's why I referenced
like hold on. Like,
your president. You're talking about him.
No, I'm talking about, okay.
Not in particular, but in general.
All right. So
what you're saying is some of the things that he has done, you know.
Okay, well, what I'm saying is, Grandpa, well, what do you think about the idea that, like, even if people who don't want to wear masks, like, the idea that we have data that says being socially distant helps, like, it's probably the most important key factor. And then you go out on the news and see people having COVID parties, or going out and being like having crazy, like, I don't know, whatever parties where you're just all close knit, or you're going out and, like, even people doing whatever they're doing outside when they're marching or just stuff in general. And you just see all this stuff happening where people know what the best thing to do is, but they completely ignore it. But they also say they're being patriots. Like, they believe in it. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think about that?
Like I said, the only thing I can say about that is that message was put out by the present administration. That's the only thing I can say, because everything you said about it, they've done just that. They say love for God and country, but then they turn around, man, and let the president get impeached and do nothing about it, you know. So all I'm saying is that what you were saying it's what's going on, with the
Right.
present administration. That's their thought, their philosophy.
Samantha came back and she said her phone overheated. There's too much fire being spit. No,
Or Michigan in the summer.
it's wild. Michigan has like 2 weeks of 100-degree temperature, then it goes back. But it's definitely wild. Like we're sorry, Sam, you came off for a second. We were talking about I was just asking Grandpa how he felt about people talking about they swear by patriotism but don't want to do good by their neighbors and things to try to get out the situation, even though we have data that talks about what you're supposed to do to help the situation. But no, man, I mean that's heavy. Yeah, that's some heavy stuff. Well, no, I mean I think we should probably start winding down, giving us some of our final thoughts on this discussion for the day. Grandpa, we'll do you last, Grandpa. You got to do the sign off too. Uncle Pooh, because you came last, do your final thought first.
I guess my final thought is I'll stick with what I've just been steadily saying, man. I just really feel bad for these parents and these children that are going to be forced to go to school because they don't really have any other options. And it's just sad. It's sad in the richest country in the world, right? Like we don't have a solution for our most vulnerable, the children, right? Like, God damn, America, if you don't got a compassion for anybody, how can you not have compassion for the kids, right? So just continue to be the soulless bastards, I guess you are, right? I mean, who has no compassion for the children? I don't understand it, man. So I just really feel for the people. That's it. More and more I learn about this, the more and more I feel fortunate and blessed to be in this situation.
And real quick, because
none of that is a concern about.
Real quick, because you mentioned those books, if you could, in the comments of this post, can you put the names and titles of those books for people who are interested? Because I know people want to get educated on their own time.
Yeah, I'll drop some. You got to link me to the YouTube.
Yeah, I'll link you to YouTube, man. And you got anything you want to plug? I mean, we trying to do trying to plug people. You got anything you want to plug before we get off the show?
I'm good today. Just donate to your local charities or something, man, and help out these young people and these families in need, because it's only gonna get worse.
All right, Sam, you want to go before? Oh yeah, we're gonna do this. You got anything you want to plug before you do your final thought?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I don't got no businesses or nothing. I just teach kids.
Don't talk about your school. Don't your school got some type of fund where they can, people can send money or something, or help your school out, or help these kids out?
No, because we're a charter. I'm like, don't send my school money. Like we're good. Honestly,
Okay.
to me, honestly, I'm just keeping it real. Y'all ain't got to worry about my particular charter school. However, what I think that please look into your local schools, see if you can donate something to them. Please, that includes lunches to kids of families who usually wouldn't have to worry about lunches because they would be sending their kids to school, things like that. Technology for kids. If you do have dollars, please go on to what's it called? Donors Choose. That's where a lot of teachers and a lot of schools post when their students need technology. And if you are a generous person, even if you got $20, $10, whatever, donate to one of those causes, because there are kids out there that don't have laptops, don't have access to technology, and will be forced to go to school. Schools that support families, things like that. And honestly, to me, the biggest thing in the system that we're in, until we change the status quo, until we change that idea, or at least the people who are in power, until the people who are in power don't have the same ideals as they always have, the same selfish capitalism ideas, until they don't have that, we're not going to get very far because we still don't have the power. So when it comes to voting time, look for those candidates, or if you know somebody who you think could be a great candidate, get them into the politics, get them on the ballot, get them into this stuff, because the people who do have that heart for their neighbors, that heart for community, that heart for stop worrying about the money, worry about the people. Those are the people that we need to be getting into the system. Because like you said, right now, our only options are the millionaires and the billionaires. And we got to figure out a way to stop that. We have to change that because otherwise everything else won't change. So vote, be invested in your vote, research those people, and challenge those people to be the people that we want to be in charge and not the people who are already in charge.
All right. Grandpa, you want to do the sign off? I'm just the cameraman, so got it.
One thing I'd like to say is that if we can get us a new president and a new secretary of education, or and a couple more secretaries, I think we'll be on the way to enrichment. But definitely the Secretary of Education, because we can see where she's in. And since Trump put her there, those two got to go. We need a new president. I've already got my ballot ready, to move forward.
You make sure you got my steak ready.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you about that.
Hold on, Grandpa. So Sam, you don't know this, but Uncle Pooh Bear and Grandpa have a bet. Grandpa said that Trump be out of office before. What was it, Grandpa?
I said
he said he wouldn't finish his term because they gonna throw him out of office. He gonna get impeached. He gonna quit. He's not gonna finish the term. That's the bet. He always try to change the bet. That's why I gotta name it.
Yeah, no, he will not finish his term out. He's gonna.
No, all right.
The Republican Party, they're gonna do him like. Wait, let me say this: the Republican Party gonna do him like they did Nixon. They're gonna walk down, arm in arm, walking to the White House and tell him, "You too heavy. We can't carry you no more."
He been saying this since month one of the presidency. That's what you got to know, Smith. Since month one of the presidency, he's been, they got him now. This is every other week. No, but they got him now.
No. My main thing is, I said he would not finish this term. And I ain't
said that.
I keep
you ain't giving up.
Now, they don't even want to go to the convention.
I think
next month,
keep
show him the joke. Say, look, man, we can't carry you no more. You're too heavy.
Look, you break it down. What's happening, brother? You break it down a little bit, Pops, because you said, I got my ballot. You didn't say they was going to throw him off. You said you got your ballot and you ready to vote for Biden to get rid of him.
Yes, I'm wrong.
I think you admitted that he is going to last.
I'm saying I'm still on the hopes that he's going to resign. I'm still the Republican Party going to push him out and say, we can't carry you no more. Put Pence in there and give him some kind of a party.
Josh, when he loses, I need you to drive him to Chicago. You come with him. We're going to swing by, pick up Samantha. We're going to go downtown and we're going to go to Swift and Sons and we're going to have the most, delicious steak.
Hold on, Kapoo. If I pick up, you already know your favorite niece. She gonna want to be in the car. Ashley. She was like,
we got room, man.
Well, hold on. You know, Ashley gonna come in the car. She's like, oh, Uncle Pooh, let me tell you what to order.
Yeah. She gonna come with that education, right? Come on.
That culture.
That culture. There we go. I'm uncultured, man. All I know is these people make a fire steak, and Pops is buying. This is gonna be great.
Let me tell you where we should also the seasoning. They have a restaurant in downtown Chicago because it started with they were a steakhouse. It is fantastic.
What's it called?
Put it out there. Lowry's, like the seasoning.
Oh, Lowry's. Okay. Mm-hmm. I didn't know they had one. Hey, Pops, you might have to check that out on your dime. You buying steak.
Okay, now you watch. If you see the Senate going down there to the White House, they want to get the president.
They don't even know where the White House at.
See, Sam. You know what I think?
You know who's gonna be leading the parade? A former senator, Sessions from Alabama. gonna have his flag. He gonna be the drum major to the
See-
White House.
See, Sam, you don't understand. Grandpa been here since the beginning. Like he was the contractor who God used to build the universe. Like that's. He's like, I didn't seen all the change. Like, he's like, first we go, like what they don't say in Genesis is before let there be light, let there Freddie had built Inkster up, and then everything else happened.
So I have about 100 days left.
Something like that. Not enough.
I don't need but 50.
Now it's 50.
I don't need but 50. I got 100, but I'm gonna get him out. He's gonna be out in 50 days.
Well, I'm gonna talk to you on day 51. Day 51, I want to hear what you got to say. I just want my steak. That's it.
Let me see what 50 days is from now.
Answers.
Let me see what 50 days is from now.
Didn't even ask. You know, the man can't make it. He can't.
That's about sometime in September, Grandpa. You really want to stand on that?
He told me, 3 weeks ago, he told me in 2 weeks it's over.
Oh no! I said he would never. No, come on now. I said he never.
You told me 2 weeks.
What is the bet?
What's the bet?
Now what's the bet?
Oh no, the bet is he's gonna finish his term. I'm just talking about how
my bet was he won't finish his term. All this other sideline stuff, you know, that's just.
But I'm just making comments because you just said 50 days. You know, I mean, I've heard this before. I've heard this. All I'm saying is I heard this before.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But I ain't betting on the 50 days. I'm just saying he'll be out of there.
Hey, I tell you what, for the steak, don't worry about the after steak beer. I'm gonna bring some good stuff. We're gonna enjoy ourselves. Well, I'm gonna go down into the cellar, man.
Damn, you officially unofficially a part. Oh, you know what? We got some single cousins. You could be a part of the Taylor family. You a part of the bet now. So whenever this happens, just know we're gonna slide by. It's time for steak, win or lose. All right, everybody. I mean, this is a good episode of the show. We might have Sam back on if she got time. Another episode, but thank you, everyone.
She ain't going to school. She got time. It's over with.
All right, we'll see y'all next week.
Bye. Thank you.
I'll take care.
Thanks,
All right.
Oh man, that was good. How do I end this?